Bees need two different kinds of food. One is honey made from nectar, which actually is a fluid that is collected in the heart of the flowers to encourage pollination by insects and other animals. Secondly, come from pollen. It is fine powdery substance in yellow, consisting of microscopic grains discharged from the male part of a flower or from a male cone. It contains a male gamete that can fertilize the female ovule, which is transferred by wind, insects or other animals. Let us go with the honeybee from her flower to the hive and see what happens. Most bees gather only pollen or nectar. As she sucks the nectar from the flower, it is stored in her special honey stomach ready to be transferred to the honey-making bees in the hive. Recently, research into embryonic development has given us an even better insight into how major structural changes might occur in a given population of organisms. We now understand that there are two major types of genes: developmental and housekeeping genes. Developmental genes are those that are expressed during embryonic development, and their proteins control the symmetry, skeletal development, organ placement, and overall form of the developing animal. In contrast, housekeeping genes are expressed during the animal's daily life to generate proteins which keep the cells, tissues, and organs in the body functioning properly. As you might suspect, mutations in developmental genes can have radical consequences for body form and function, whereas mutations in housekeeping genes tend to affect the health and reproductive success of the post-embryonic animal. Timing is important for revision. Have you noticed that during the school day you get times when you just don't care any longer? I don't mean the lessons you don't like, but the ones you usually find okay, but on some occasions you just can't be bothered with it. You may have other things on your mind, be tired, restless, or looking forward to what comes next. Whatever the reason, that particular lesson doesn't get 100% effort from you. The same is true of revision. Your mental and physical attitude are important. If you try to revise when you are tired or totally occupied with something else, your revision will be inefficient and just about worthless. If you approach it feeling fresh, alert and happy, it will be so much easier and you will learn more, faster. However, if you make no plans and just slip in a little bit of revision when you feel like it, you probably won't do much revision. You need a revision timetable so you don't keep putting it off. Distance learning can be highly beneficial to a large variety of people, from young students wanting to expand their horizons to adults looking for more job security. With programs that allow learners of all ages to take courses for fun, personal advancement and degrees, distance learning can meet the needs of a diverse population. Perhaps one of the most notable and often talked about advantages of distance learning is the flexibility. The majority of programs allow students to learn when and where it's convenient for them. For those who are struggling to balance their distance learning goals with working a full-time job and taking care of a family, this kind of flexibility can allow many people to pursue education who would not otherwise be able to do so. Since there are no on-campus courses to attend, students can learn from their own homes, at work on their lunch breaks, and from virtually anywhere with internet access. For some, it can even be a big source of savings on the fuel costs and time required to commute to classes. Most important of all is the fact that for each new ballet pantomime created at the Paris Opera during the July monarchy, a new score was produced. The reason for this is simple. These ballet pantomimes told stories, elaborate ones, and music was considered an indispensable tool in getting them across to the audience. Therefore, music had to be newly created to fit each story. Music tailor-made for each new ballet pantomime, however, was only one weapon in the opera's explanatory arsenal. Another was the ballet pantomime. Libretto, a printed booklet of 15 to 40 pages in length, which was sold in the opera's lobby, like the opera libretto, and which laid out the plot in painstaking detail, scene by scene. Critics also took it upon themselves to recount the plots of both ballet pantomimes and operas in their reviews of premieres. So did the publishers of souvenir albums, which also featured pictures of famous performers and of scenes from favorite ballet pantomimes and operas. Comparing the intelligence of animals of different species is difficult. How do you compare a dolphin and a horse? Psychologists have a technique for looking at intelligence that does not require the cooperation of the animal involved. The relative size of an individual's brain is a reasonable indication of intelligence. Comparing across species is not as simple. An elephant will have a larger brain than a human simple because it is a large beast. Instead we use the cephalization index, which compare the size of an animal's brain to the size of its body. Based on the cephalization index, the brightest animals on the planet are humans, followed by great apes, porpoises and elephants. As a general rule, animals that hunt for a living, like canines, are smarter than strict vegetarians. You don't need much intelligence to outsmart a leaf of lettuce. Animals that live in social groups are always smarter and have large EQs than solitary animals. If you see a movie, or a TV advertisement, that involves a fluid behaving in an unusual way, it was probably made using technology based on the work of a Monash researcher. Professor Joseph Monahan, who pioneered an influential method for interpreting the behavior of liquids that underlies most special effects involving water, has been honored with election to the Australian Academy of Sciences. Professor Monahan, one of only 17 members elected in 2011, was recognized for developing the method of smooth particle hydrodynamics, SPH, which has applications in the fields of astrophysics, engineering and physiology, as well as movie special effects. His research started in 1977 when he tried to use computer simulation to describe the formation of stars and stellar systems. The algorithms available at the time were incapable of describing the complicated systems that evolve out of chaotic clouds of gas in the galaxy.
Impressionism was an art movement of the 19th century, which began as a private association of Paris-based artists who exhibited publicly in 1874. It is characterized by a concern with depicting the visual impression of the moment, especially in terms of the shifting effect of light and color. The term Impressionism originated from art critic Louis Leroy, who commented Monet's painting, Impression, Soleil Levant. Leroy said that it indeed was just an impression and that the work could not